Got my Ryobi drill. This thing is amazingly good. 5 amp hour battery on this thing. I can do a lot of work with this, and it lasts for days. It lasts for days if you're just doing light duty work. Now, so far, let's get back to this task. I don't have much time with this one. So I've taken off the backing of the steering column cover, the top section. I've taken that off. I've made a brief marking. This is for the boost gauge. I got the boost gauge up here. I'm gonna try and mount it at the top here. So I've got it briefly marked. The marks are really faint, but I'm gonna put it somewhere around here, roughly about there. I'm gonna put some screws into it through the top there, and get this thing secured. I think that'll be perfect right about there. I'm gonna make some holes there. I might actually use something to clamp it rather than screws. Actually, no, I'll do screws first. Yeah, I'll put some screws into it. For some screws, I got some screws here. I'm just gonna use these ones. I'm gonna make some little holes with I've got some drill bits here as well. Put it like so. It's also Ryobi. So I'm just gonna match that up to the size that I'm looking for. Obviously you wanna use a bit that's not too big, not much bigger than that. So I just go like that. That one's a bit too close to that. I'm gonna go down one, maybe even two sizes down, just to start the drill, the hole, just a little pilot hole, and then that would go and make its own thread through this material. I'm just trying to size I pick a good size drill bit. This is the best way I think now to actually pick a good size, is just to put it behind it. And you want to get one that's not obviously too big like that or like this, otherwise your screw will have nothing to tap a thread into. So I'll go working from underneath. I'll probably go to this size. I'll make a good thread. So 2.5 mil drill bit for that size screw. Okay. So I'm taking this job into my mobile workspace here. Alright, let's see if I can start making some drilling, doing some work here. Let me fit my drill. Fit my drill with the right size. Okay. I've already made my marking, so be careful. Make sure you mark it before you drill anything. They're really faint, so I'm a bit worried that I'm actually have the wrong marks, but that's where it is there. that'll be about there. Go one in. So two in. Give you a close look. Those are the little holes I made there. One there and one there. So now I'm gonna find a screwdriver. I'm gonna place my bracket, my gauge holder or gauge bracket, whatever you call this thing, and start screwing it in. Why am I doing this manually? I could actually use my drill. This drill, put in reverse, widen that one. It's got this screwdriver bit. Put that on. So that one I can screw that down. Okay. Just be careful, don't over tighten, it is plastic. Fit that one on. You want to make sure you drill those pilot holes with the drill bit first. You don't want to just push the screws in by force, otherwise you might crack this plastic case, and you don't want to do that either. And then just lightly tighten them up with a screwdriver. This way you have more control. You don't want to over tighten. Don't need to do it too much. Don't over tighten this thing because they will crack. Right there. Just snug tight, not too tight, just finger tight. That's what I call it, finger tight. And I think that's gonna look good there. And then this one is the this is like the bezel that go where the this is where the boost gauge sits into, and that goes in there like so. Done. Done. Make sure you get screws that are not too long. I should have probably used shorter screws. These are protruding on the other side just a little bit far, but I think they'll clear whatever's underneath it. If not, I'll remove them and get some shorter ones from the hardware store. You can get these screws from your hardware store. Alright, now let's go and try test fit this thing. Okay, that's my mobile workshop right there at the back of my work van. Now, oh, let's go. Let's see how it fits. Oh, it's getting stuck there. I hope it fits. Oh, there's so many things obstructing it from behind. Okay. I think I'm getting through. There's so much sunlight too. Oh boy. Here we go. I like that already. Now I'm gonna raise it. It's got a steering column raiser or adjuster. Okay, from that position low to high. Is at eye level right now. Well, it's exactly where, almost exactly. I want it a little bit to the left, to the right, but I'm close. That's close enough. Yeah. And it's sitting center of my rev counter. So it looks like it's part of the unit, but it's not. That's exactly what I wanted. I can still see my rev needle, and I'll be able to see my boost all at the same time as, so I can see two gauges right there. It's all done now, all finished. Oh, I love that look. Boom. Yeah. Even though it frustrates me, this car, sometimes with all the problems it has, but when I get closer to achieving my goal, I forget about all the worries until next time when it upsets me again. Now look at that gauge. Look at that gauge. It's in the perfect position for this car. I'm happy with that. Look at that. So when I'm sitting here in the driver's seat, driving away, I don't have to look very far. My boost gauge is right there. My rev counter is right behind it. I can see everything. My speedo on the other side. I just need to find a gauge that will go perfectly in here. That's my next stage. My next research is to find a gauge for the other side, just to balance it out. But look at the needle. I like the look because I like chronograph watches, and this reminds me of that. Gauges, gauges, more gauges. I just want more gauges. Look at this. When it switches on. Look at that. Oh boy, that's perfect right there. They look like they're dancing. They look like they're dancing. I'm gonna call them dancing gauges. They're doing a wave. Dancing gauges, especially right about there. Perfect. Done. Oh, I'm so glad that's on there. The only thing remaining is at the back of this, there is the wiring to be done. This is just the plumbing for the vacuum hose. I'm gonna hide this vacuum hose behind the dash. Somehow I'm gonna take all this stuff off and reroute it all the way through and make it come out somewhere through there. It's gonna come out through there somewhere and go in there, and then some wires from there, from the back, it's gonna go through there and into the fuse box around this side from the inside, and then it's all done. We've got the gauge there all mounted. Now this boost hose here, you got the boost line that comes from that goes into the back of this. So I'll just show you where it's going. At the moment I've just got it basically plumbed through the guard and past the door here, past the door seal. It's pretty soft here, so it's not going to get crushed. And just for testing purposes, until I actually mount it through the dashboard correctly later on. So here I'm just going to show you where it's going and where this hose actually plugs into. It plumbs into the manifold. The intake manifold is right here, and this hose here, I've made a T-piece or T-junction. There's a hose that's just coming from there, and this hose is actually coming from this manifold from underneath. So that hose goes from underneath, comes down and loops around and comes this way, and then proceeds on to this sensor here and this other valve here, one of the check valves. I'm not sure what it's there for. Here I've got the boost boost controller, boost solenoid, and boost pressure sensor, I believe it is. So this boost pressure sensor, I've made a T-piece here. I'm tapping into this line, and I've tapped it into with this hose here going into the side, and when the pressure or the vacuum is built, it builds up in here, the pressure builds up. Yep, it's misbehaving already. It's running real bad again. The idle is off. See, as soon as I take it to the street, it starts to misbehave. It's as if it knows there's a car next to it. It has to start playing up. It just doesn't want to go, you know, like it's just something's wrong with this car. The idle is really bad now.